So today we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be taking the concepts we learned in previous episodes and apply it to a deck that could be a potentially pretty fun play for the Players' Cup too. Welcome to episode 9 and let's take a look at Chandelure, shall we? So hello and welcome again to Pokémath episode 9. What I would like to call the Spirit Burner, because today we're going to be taking a look at no other than Chandelure. And this, while been a fun deck around in previous formats, today we're going to take a look whether it's even a viable Stage 2 deck, big question mark for that, in this post-rotation format we find ourselves in. And more importantly, is it even a viable play for Players' Cup 2? Well, everybody can play it if they want to. The question is, are you able to actually take any games with that? So we're going to be doing a couple of things today. First, we're going to be looking at, well, the deck itself, what deck are we going to look at today, and take a deck list and, get some explanation over and see why we play the things we do play. Then we're going to look at the probability of actually getting a good starting hand with this deck, which I will get into a little later what that actually means. And finally, we're going to be taking a few games on PTCGO and see, can we actually take a game home with this deck? So how are we going to do it? And more importantly, we'll be answering the question, what's the probability to get a good starting hand? Because we are looking at how consistent is such a deck even? And in order to answer this question, we're going to be using a good old friend of mine, the hypergeometric distribution. I will just leave it here on the screen for a couple of seconds, but if you really want to know more about how this actually works, I would advise you to take a look at my episode 1, or also episode 6 would also be a very good choice here. So basically what it tells us is the probability of success given how many targets we have, and also how many potential, what the deck size is. I'm not going to go into great detail now, but we're going to get back to it a little later, so no need to worry. But first, let's use the following deck list as an example. So let it all go to PTCGO and we'll be right back. Hey guys, and welcome back to PTCGO here. And you know what? Let's take a look at the deck we're going to be playing a few games with today. Credit goes out to Fabio Gomez for providing me a deck list here, and I really think he's onto something. Like, we have seen this deck before pre-rotation, but I have not really seen much of this post-rotation. So I think this would be a very interesting one price Stage 2 attacker deck that we could use for this this format right now. So what are we attacking with? We are attacking with Chandelure. And the Spirit Burner attack is really neat in the sense that, it does 10 base damage, which is not very impressive. However, we get to discard top 5 of our deck, doing 60 for each Pokemon we hit in this way. And then on top of that, we can put any number of fire Pokemon discarded in this way onto our bench. Which means that once we've set up the first Chandelure, we can actually somewhat chain them. And we can even hit Litwicks and or Lampent, so it's pretty nice actually. And to help us accomplish that, we have the Inteleon line here. While the Sobble is, important on its own to get the Stage 1 and 2s out, it's really the Stage 1 and 2 we play it for. Because the ability Shady Dealings let me search my deck for one trainer card. That includes of course my Rosas, which is, I would say, what really puts this deck together. And Inteleon has the same ability, but although for 2 trainer cards, so even stronger. And next to that also stacks up the number of Pokemon we wish to play in this deck, because you might have noticed 40 Pokemon going on here, which is pretty damn high. So looking here, for support here, we have Oranguru, which is very nice because not only do I really like Oranguru, of course, but it lets me put a card back from my hand on top of my deck, which could help me chain more Chandelures because I could simply just put one back on top of my deck and then we're sure to hit it on our attack. So not only do we do extra damage, but we can also chain attackers this way, so it's a very nice addition to the deck. And then of course we have 10 Pokemon here with Call for Family attack. Don't know about you, but I played long ago where also real setup Pokemon was a thing, like Dunsparce back in the day of EX Sandstorm. And here we have a total of 10 Pokemon with Call for Family, 4 Phalanx, 2 Bassimians, and in this case 4 Gossifleur, which then also Call Family but for 3. What we're really trying to figure out today is what the probability is of starting one of these 10 here, plus either one of our 6 energy cards or the Giant Hearth, which also, gives us an energy card, or in this case 2. So that's the probability we're going to try to figure out after we're done looking at this list here. But before we get to that, there's still a few more things I think we should address here. I spoke a little about the Rosa, so let's take a look at this, because this is what really puts the deck together. If your opponent knocks out one of my basics, say one of my Phalanx, Persimmons, or Gossifleur I started with, I can play Rosa and pretty much get my deck going from there, because I can just search Rare Candy, Chandelure, Energy card, and I'm ready to attack right there. And that is very, very consistent, because I can also find that on the Drizzle here or on the Inteleons. So once I get my Call Family attack off, then I am at least in a decent position to be able to attack straight off the bat if they take the first knockout on me. And the good thing here, we're dealing with one price attackers, so that should hopefully give us an advantage later in the game. And with a potential damage output of up to 310, you're putting out some solid damage every turn, potentially at least. To finishing up here the Pokemon from the list, we play 2 Eldegoss V, which helps us chain more of these Rosas, or the Boss's Order we need to finish the game sometimes, or for late game Brocks, which are very, very nice to ensure a high Pokemon count and also be able to help us chain even more Chandelures. And then of course we also have a few other items in the deck, because Rosa can search them out, so that's very nice. And then we have Mew to be able to block some bench damage, so in case we're playing against the Inteleon V Max list, or we're playing against the Pika-Rome, so we can block the Tack Bolt. Or in this case we also play 1 Oricoro GX to help us draw 3 cards every time one of our attackers knocked out. And one item I think also deserves a little mention here is the Duskstone, because this is a very nice thing you can play just with Chandelure, or Aegislash, Honchclaw, and Magius, but in this case Chandelure, which allows us to also, if we have a Lampent on the bench, that could also get into play via top entry of course, we can Rosa for the Duskstone and get a Chandelure into play that way. And with that said, I'm really looking forward to take a couple of games with this deck, but before we do that, we're going to go back and then take a look what is the probability of starting with a so-called good starting hand, which consists of at least one of these 10 Call Family Pokemon, plus at least one of these energy cards and or the Giant Hearth. So let's go and check that out. Now, welcome back again, and now, after looking at the deck we're going to be playing with today, let's look at what's the probability of a good starting hand. Like I already said, we need to have one of our 10 so-called good basics, that is with Call for Family attack to get Litwicks into play, for instance, and or some Sobbles, possibly, and we would like an energy card to pull off the attack. As I said earlier, we're going to be assuming that we're just going to go second so we can attack in our first turn. The question then becomes, well, what's the possibility I can actually attack first turn with a Call for Family attacker given this deck that we're playing? And well, there's 2 things we need to look at here. We need to look at the probability of getting a basic. That's one of the 10 correct basics, so I call that a P basic. And the probability of hitting an energy card. And yeah, we need to find the intersection of these things in the sense that, or the union of these things, sorry for that. We need to find the probability of basic and energy. And of course, we can also write that compactly as my Slowpoke buddy here says above, of course. To do that, we're going to be using a nice little result from probability theory that tells us that the probability of basic and energy is the same as the probability of energy given a basic multiplied by the probability of getting a basic. And why is this so important? Because it turns out it's much easier to calculate these 2 other components than rather go straight for the probability of basic and energy. So once we have those 2 components, we can multiply them together and we're there. And how are we going to do that? Well, first, let's start with the probability of these 10 so-called correct basics. Depict here the Gossifleur, the Phalanx, and the Persimmons. And of course, we play 4, 4, and 2. And let's see how we're going to do this. If you want to learn more about the actual the function of the summation sign here, just check episode 6. But basically what's happening here is that we have 10 possible good basics in the deck. We can hit at least 1. So we are looking at the probability of hitting at least one of our first 7 cards, right? So we can calculate this as B going from 1 to 7. And of course, the remainder of the deck is then 50 cards, because 10 of them is, well, our hits. And then we multiply, or we take this to count over 7 minus B, divided by 60 over 7, which I already explained in a previous episode. But long story short, this becomes a probability of 74.1%, written in decimal numbers on the screen here. And that is one thing. However, this probability we calculate here does not take into account the possibility of a mulligan. Therefore, we have to separately calculate the possibility of a mulligan and then adjust this probability for the chance of getting a mulligan. The chance of getting a mulligan, is right on the screen here. And we see that with 24 basics in the deck, because that's what we got here in this deck with a lot of Pokemon, is 2.2%. Again, depicted as a decimal number. We can then, I would say, adjust for this by dividing by 1 minus this percentage of getting a mulligan, which leaves us with 75.77% of starting with at least one of our correct basics. Okay, that's one number. So now let's look at the probability of an energy given that we have a basic. And here there's a few things to remember when we have to draw this energy card. First of all, the energy can actually come in not only the first 7 cards, but actually the first 8 cards. Because while we have to start with the basic that we need, we can also draw the energy as our turn card, basically giving us one additional draw for it. However, then again, since that we're now assuming that we have a basic in our hand, that actually leaves us one less space in our hand to hit that energy card, right? So we're now assuming that we already have a basic, which again leaves us back at 7 cards, including the turn card, from a deck of 59 cards, because 1 is the Pokemon that we already took out and starting with, so that's the assumption that we go for here. And the way we can calculate that is as follows on the screen, following the same format as before, which gives us 60.8% chance of that happening. And then we can of course put this together as depicted earlier, which gives us now a percentage of 46.07% of this actually happening. So roughly half our games, or to be a little more realistic, this happens in approximately 9 out of 20 games, to be a little more exact. But still, it's not terrible. What we could do in future episodes and future work for this here is simply just to check, well, how much does this actually change if I would add, say, additional energy and or more basics to search out for basic Pokemon. So, for instance, going from 2 to 3 Persimmon or even 4. However, of course, other cuts have to be made, so we also have to keep that into consideration. But now, we have looked at the possibility of actually getting a good starting hand here, which in our case means that we just draw a basic plus an energy. And that leaves us with PTCGO. So now let's go and see if we can take down a game or two with this deck and well, see how it actually works. We'll be right back here after a couple of games. Hey guys, and welcome back to PTCGO. I am jumping straight into a game here, and as you can see, I am getting actually my so-called good starting hand off here, and my opponent even choose to start, which means that at this point here I can actually get what I call a good starting hand off. And you know what, let's see if this can be a fun game and see whether this actually works out. Seems like we're gonna play against PTCGO, so adding the Mew here to protect myself from attack ball doesn't seem like such a terrible idea after all. So let's see what he got for me here. And so far, nothing too interesting. Looks like standard PTCGO, right? I'm expecting the Denny drop anytime now. And I'm just happy it seems that I can get something to work. So let's see. There comes the Denny. Now, the bigger question is you're going to be able to boss us all the next turn any of those basics I'm going to be putting down. Or if you're going to go straight for the Phalanx. Right now you could think that he's playing against Phalanx, so then we can do some team attack. I do play 4 Phalanx, so yeah, that is a secondary attacker I could use. Also, for that off chance I play against Bronzong that blocks all fire Pokemon, I can actually just team attack it out. That would be rather fun. So, let's see. I know that to knock out a PTCGO in this current state here, I need to discard, of the 5 cards I discard, I need to be able to hit at least 4. Because that will give me 250 damage. believes he's playing against Phalanx, but what else could he actually know at this point? So let's see. Stuff. I'm getting pretty sure there's a full blitz coming next turn. It's just a hunch, guys. You know what? But I'm gonna play this one down anyway. I'm gonna play this one. Then we're gonna go for a call for family. And in this case here, we do need a Litwick and we do need a Sol. Because then we can find ourselves a Rosa next turn. Because then we get the rare candy, an energy card, and a Pokemon you might be able to use. See, the question here is you're going to boss this order, yay or nay. So there's one that is Kapal already, so there's the switch. So the question just becomes, well, not even the switch. Is he going to boss his order? Let's see. Or a full blitz just. At this point here, we're just hoping for just a full blitz. Contemplating where to attach to energy if he attacks with full blitz? Question mark. Yeah, there's the full blitz. That gives us actually a chance to take this knockout. Now the question is, does he believe we can take it, yay or nay? He is going for the safe bet, which seems like a very good idea here. So let's see what we can pull off this turn. Starting off with evolving and see if we can find ourselves a Rosa. Play Rosa. At least we're pretty sure about two of the cards. Let's go for what we're very sure about first. The rare candy, the energy card. So what Pokemon is the good choice here? If we want to be sure to attack next turn, then it's better to take Litwick, because we do have an Inteleon in hand, so we can get another Rose out. Because this way here, we also don't put all our eggs in one basket, in the sense that we want to hit the Chandelure on a Spirit Burner. Let's play this one now. Attach this one here, and let's hit 4 Pokemon, shall we? 2, 3, 4, many. We actually hit 5. Full house. There we go. And we are setting up for enough Pokemon here to finish the game with. Whoop, whoop. Even free prizes, this couldn't get any better. But as I might want to point out, this deck heavily relies on the ability to get your call for family off turn 1. Otherwise, you will be running pretty far behind the whole game. Here we're able to get any energy we want, because we can either get our Fire Crystal or the Giant Hearth to get the energy, and we have a boss's order to hopefully finish off the game if we are as lucky again. Because now comes the play here. Well, he is going to try and protect it. I'm pretty sure about that. Because he can use the GX move and swap it to the bench. Let's see. The game is not over just yet. But if you play Pikarom down, wait a second. If I boss order, I still only need Pokemon 4. So he gave me an easier out to win if he didn't just stamp me. Can't complain, all I need is an energy card, which I got. I even have the Inteleon player right here, so I can actually try and set up even further. So let's see. So we do have a chance of winning. It is definitely present. So energy is there. Can put this one here. Could just Brock's Grid to maximize my chances here. But actually, the safest bet for me is just to get my Inteleon out. Check if I have Brock's Grid. That would be a fun play right now. It is there. So get an Inteleon. Then we at least forcing him to stamp again next turn, because what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take the Brox, I'm gonna take the Rosa. Then I'm gonna play the Brox to increase my odds of actually toasting him. I think this should be fine. Yeah, we're just going for the max odds of this. And let's burn some spirits. Not full house this time. Do I want to put anything on the bench here? No, we have to already leave the bench spot open. Unfortunately here, we did hit the boss and the Rosa this time, but I do have a Rosa in hand, so we're still in a pretty good standing, I would say. Just to be sure, this is just Toad, and this only blocks items, right? So, we're still in a good spot. Going for me, though. I'm not afraid to tackle at this point anymore. Marring me is interesting. Well, he knows I have a Rosa, so there's nothing to lose on this one. This is the dreaded hand that I just get a handful of Pokemon. But wait, he's actually giving me an out for this game. He's giving me time. I'll take that. So I can just go Spirit Burner and hope for the best. That's all I can do. Start toasting my deck and hope I don't toast everything I need in the process. We don't need this one. So point is, I think I hit just an energy here. I do get 2 prize cards. There's the energy again if he allows me to use items again, or if he doesn't stamp me. I'm assuming he has a stamp for 1. Not yet, at least. There's a good chance of getting stamped for 1. PTCGO, in my opinion, should play at least 2 stamps. Let's see. Increasing his odds of survival if he uses that one. Lots more. I think stamp should be there now. He has 130 hit points left on this one because of the big charm. That means I need to hit just 2 Pokemon for a knockout. That seems quite doable with this list. He's going to shift. He's going to shift into a big PTCGO, I'm pretty sure. So in this case, yeah, I will need to hit a full house. Some energy back to my hand. 1, 2, 3. Let's get this one down, that one down. The question is, do I have much Chandelure left? It's actually the very important question I didn't even check. 1 is there. Only one. That means if I just use this one, I know it takes a Pokemon out of my deck, but then I am certain that I have another Chandelure after this. That actually, and I can also on the other hand just prime it Wisdom to be sure that I do have at least the first Pokemon there. And well, as so often before, it didn't matter. If I actually will play down a Sobble, I will increase my odds again, depending on what I've left in my deck. There's no harm done at this point. No. Let's burn some spirits. 250. So his big charm saves today because I hit a Rosa. Yow. That was something I didn't want to hit because that was the last Rosa. But we do have Eldegoss left in deck, so I can just pick up with that. And we do have 2 energies in hand, so we are able to actually pull off yet another attack. Let's see. This deck is quite fun to play. It's nice to actually have a 1-price attacker deck that can actually hit big numbers, although with certain uncertainties, but definitely that makes it a little more interesting to play, I would say. Quite fun. Let's see what he's going to pull down this time in order to increase, well, he's going to mark it again. See if I don't hit one of the energies. I could also hit an Eldegoss, that would also be good enough. all about. There we go. That was one out. And a stamp tool. Okay, but luckily I have Guru. Guru can be my savior. Now, this is actually a very important decision, because I am pretty sure he can boss us all on next turn anyway, so I need to go big or go home. There was a giant heart. I'll take that. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this, and take out some of this here. Oh, that's not so bad top deck at all. But okay, nothing is certain yet. I still need to hit at least 2 Pokemon on this here. Whoop, 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 and boom, there we go. Chandelure takes a game. I am a very happy fellow right now. Fantastic job. Good job with the Spirit Burner. And, well, now you've seen that this can actually take a game, and I don't think I made that many misplays. So I hope you enjoy this deck, and let me know if you have tried this before, and also let me know if you want to play this for the Players Cup. It'll be quite fun to take this for one of the events. It's definitely an out-of-the-box choice, I would say. And with that said, let's go back and finish off this episode, shall we? And now, after we've seen these fun and interesting games, let me call it that, what have we learned today? Well, we've learned we can use the multivariate hypergeometric distribution. That is a little long shot maybe. It's actually the hypergeometric, but I like to put the multivariate up here because we could also tell this as a multivariate version. But what have we used it for? We've used it to get the probability of a so-called good starting hand for our Chandelure deck. And with that said, that concludes today's episode of Pokémath. Stay tuned. Until next time. Hey guys, and thanks for watching today's episode of Pokémath. I hope you liked the little difference in it compared to previous episodes, where we go more and look at an actual deck here. And yeah, I already will apologize for all the misplays made on PTCGO, but we're just here to test a potential fun deck for the Players Cup too. With that said, I should maybe get back to some more practice before I throw myself into some tournament games and Players Cup too. But you know what? It's all gonna be just fine. In the meantime, you guys stay safe out there, and stay tuned until next time.